Hello everybody, Brad Johnson here, and welcome to the very first episode of Inner Practices. And in this episode we're going to be talking about grounding and charging. So to kick off the very first episode, I'm very excited to share a lot of this information as it relates to us being able to ground. So you'll find a lot of information on YouTube regarding grounding, articles on grounding as well too. And of course, a lot of them are indeed correct in certain ways. So we're going to kind of combine the aspect of grounding ourselves and charging ourselves and looking into a simple, practical guide about how we're able to do this. So firstly, with our nice stick-like human body here, we can imagine that we are going bare feet out into nature and rooting ourselves into the earth. So again, if you're in your backyard or if you're in a park and it's a nice beautiful day and you want to walk barefoot, and again grounding yourself and just imagining as if these rooted cords are going all the way deeply into the earth. Okay? So again, that's one very common way, is that we can walk barefoot on the grass. Another way is we can use a technological aspect, is we can have a grounding mat or an earthing mat that is connected to the grounding wire of an electrical socket. And we're actually being able to use that mat to ground our vibration, to ground our energy, to basically completely dissipate any loose electricity, getting it completely out of our body. That too is another great way. So what about through meditation? Great, my meditation guy here. So with meditation, again, we are rooting ourselves into the earth. But through a lot of my sessions with clients, what I've discovered is a lot of people will start to pull energy up through the heavens and bring it directly into yourself, and we'll start to spiral that energy throughout our body. Okay? Now, this would be the incorrect way about what we're actually doing here. We don't actually want to bring energy from the top down. Well, Brad, why is that? Well, because we have to look at the human body just like we have a three-pronged port here. Okay? Looks like a shocked face, but this would represent the three-pronged port. Okay? So at the very bottom here, we have what's known as the ground prong. Of course, when we're plugging that into the wall, we're able to ground the circuit altogether, ground the electrical wire. Well, that's the exact same thing with our own body. It's like we have our electrical energy here, and of course we have our grounding prong. And this relates to our feet, our legs. So when we are seated in meditation, what we're doing, again, is grounding into the earth, and we are bringing that earth energy up into ourselves. And that earth energy starts off with the color brown. So we want to run brown energy up through our feet and up through our legs. Okay? That's us being the grounding prong here. As we start to ground ourselves and bringing that brown color frequency up through the legs, just like we imagine soil, and it's connecting directly to our sacrum. Then of course, once it reaches our sacrum, we're able to move that energy up and calibrate it appropriately through the chakra centers. Okay? Okay, all 7 chakras. So again, we're looking at the color vibration, the appropriate common color vibration that we have within our bodies. So starting off with the red frequency for the root, the orange frequency for the sacral or navel chakra, the yellow frequency for the solar plexus, the green frequency for the heart, the aquamarine or turquoise frequency for the throat, the ocean blue frequency for the third eye. Okay, it's not indigo. Okay, indigo is a little bit more of a distortion, right? So right about here, we would have the ocean blue energy. When we're moving up to the indigo ray, we're actually moving it a little past the brow chakra. And what this does is this can actually create miscalibration relating to the third eye. Okay? So it operates on an ocean blue frequency. It does not operate on an indigo frequency. So we want to remember that. Now again, there may be some certain conditions where people may actually have their third eye in indigo ray frequency, but unless you see it for yourself, then that would be a judgment call. But on common level, we have what's known as the ocean blue chakra center there and the brow chakra. Okay? And then finally moving up to the crown, moving up into a nice high violet frequency. Okay? So we're running that brown energy up through the earth, up through our legs, our grounding cables, as I call them, right to the sacrum, and then running that energy appropriately through the color vibrations of the chakra centers altogether. So now that we have run the energy up, we're now able to go into charging. And charging will now allow that after we have grounded our energy and lifted it up, we can now bring down the heavenly energy and start it to move down through the body, right? We could use, for example, a golden ray frequency. And that golden ray frequency is now starting to move itself, or I'll use this example, move itself throughout the body. And we are now charging ourselves. Okay? Now you may not be able to tell, but I'm basically creating a type of toroidal field here. Okay? So, with another human stick figure, when we're charging ourselves, again we've done the grounded run from the earth up to the heavens, and now we're doing from the heavens down. And now we're just going to start charging ourselves. Like I said, you can use golden energy. And once you run that energy throughout your entire body, we want to focus our attention on the crown chakra and on the perineum. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're imagining that that golden energy, once it has completely bonded with the entirety of our body, is we're now just creating a toroidal field. Okay? So the shape of a torus, and it's running through the top of the crown, down, and again out through the perineum. So it's kind of like it's coming out like this, going all the way down to the bottom of our feet, and coming into the perineum, and then we can see it coming out of the perineum, running back up to the top of our head. Some people may even like to spiral the toroidal field as well too. And you can do that as well. And if you can't visualize the complexity of a toroidal field, don't worry about it. Just feel this energy moving through, again, the top of your crown, moving it down, and again, going down to the bottom of the feet and coming up through the perineum. And then you can move it back up again through the perineum, up, and into the crown as well too. So you can even do physical motions, kind of like Qigong here, right? So crown is open, so we're just bringing it out like this, feeling that energy coming down to the perineum, and then bringing our hands back up into the crown and just moving our hands back down. Okay? So this is, again, is kind of like a variation of Qigong, is we're just moving that energy and charging ourselves with this toroidal field. Okay? So this charging comes once we ground. So we want to ground first, and then we're going to charge secondly. Okay? Very, very important. You don't charge before you ground, because that's going to risk causing short-circuiting. Okay? You can basically, quote-unquote, blow an energetic fuse within your body when you're basically just jumping right into meditation. You don't even bother to ground. You just go ahead and charge. And again, this can create a, quote-unquote, energetic blown fuse. So we don't want to short-circuit ourselves. We don't want to blow an energetic fuse. We want to make sure that we are keeping ourselves in a healthy, grounded state before we start moving into charging. So people that fail to ground themselves first before they charge will notice that they can have emotional agitation. They can also have emotional bursts or energetic bursts where they feel really, really hyper, really high strung, and all of a sudden, boom, they crash. right? That's what happens when we charge ourselves first. Like we get up in the morning, we just instantly start doing some rigorous exercises, we start charging ourselves, and then we're going to have all this energy, right? It's like a zzz, it's like a fritz in that way. But then after a short amount of time, poof, we crash, okay? We want to be cautious of that, because what we're doing is we're putting so much of this energy into our body that our body is not able to process it properly. It creates these fuses, it causes these short outs, these short circuits, and we, again, kind of get into this fritz-like state. We're just kind of really, really hyperactive. We want to do these things, and all of a sudden, bam, we crash. Okay? It's because the body's not able to digest this energy properly. We want to make sure that we are grounding ourselves. We're connecting with the earth. We're freeing up all of this dirty electricity. We're getting that to leave our body altogether, right? It's just dispersing away. Okay? Just like you have an earthing mat, just like you walk barefoot in nature, you're dispersing all of that dirty electricity, that excess, right? So we want to do that first when we're grounding, especially when we go to sleep at night as well too. If we have maybe some very intense dreams, and we just all of a sudden run, grab our coffee, and say, okay, I'll get a good charging meditation going. And then you get this hyperactive mode, and then bam, you crash, okay? So to avoid that, we want to make sure that we are working with our grounding energy first. We're stabilizing ourselves. We're hitting neutral, right? Like the proton and the electron coming together, balancing itself, right? So this is how we get that balancing, is first we ground, then we can charge, right? And now you'll notice that after you ground and you start to charge yourself with this energy, like bringing in the golden energy, working with the toroidal field, you feel a lot more stabilized, right? You have good, healthy vitality flowing through you. You're not like on the edge. You're not agitated. You're not, again, fritzing out here, right? Just like you're shooting sparks. And all of a sudden, bam, you're going to crash. You're just going to feel depleted. You're going to feel exhausted with energy. Now, again, there are certain psychics, intuitives, healers that don't ground first, right? They just go right into their stuff and they crash. Believe me, when I was starting, I had those situations as well too. I was just so excited to get started and let's go ahead and do this. And then I just felt not exactly exhausted, but I just felt kind of tired, depleted afterwards, right? So we want to make sure that we are incorporating the grounding technique into our practices. So whether we're doing healing work, whether we're doing psychic work, intuition, whether we just want to boost our vitality, we want to have a good amount of energy flowing through us on a daily basis, we're grounding first. So whether you want to use this technique, whether you want to walk barefoot out in nature, whether you want to have an earthing mat, and being able to ground yourself in that way, that's great. Sit with that for a few minutes. Once you ground yourself, right, like I said, don't be afraid. Feel free to just run the brown energy up through your legs to the sacrum and then through the chakra center. So we're going from the earth up. And then again, afterwards, we charge, we go from the heavens down. So again, that is working with the golden energy. If you want to put a violet frequency around your aura as well too, that's great as well. That's basically it, really. Is just remembering to keep track of your charging, again, and making sure that that is secondary. Because again, people can get very highly emotional, people can get burnt out, people can get exhausted, they can get irritable, they can get agitated, because they're omitting the ability to ground when we're working with our inner practice, when we're working with our energy practices, okay? So a very important reminder to ground and then to charge. So thank you very much for watching this video. I look forward to speaking to you in the next one. Take care, namaste, and may it be well with you all. Goodbye.